Hello, Pirate Dave here with another new comic book day. It is February 4th, 2026. Getting right into it. We have all new Harbinger number one. Yes, it says number one. No, apparently it is number four. Alien Books reprinting these, well, not reprinting, resurging these Harbinger series has decided to separate the story arcs as far as the numbering goes. Hey, it worked on me, man. I saw the number one on the shelf and I was like, okay, well, I can jump on. Apparently, there were three additional issues at the start of this resurgence from last year, so there's a story arc I'm missing. I don't know how people feel about that. It seems it seems a little bit misleading, but I guess it's no more misleading than Marvel making a new Punisher number one coming out here when that just continues the stories off the last Punisher series. You can see you get a little previously on Valiant and Beyond. Let's get some credits in here. I have been doing that. Fred Van Lente on the writing, and Eric Tamayo artist, and then you have Ezekiel F. Roel on colors. I don't know much about Harbinger. I'm familiar with the name. I actually have a trade that I picked up for Harbinger. I just haven't dove into it, and I can't. I had a pretty good week, so I decided to take a risk on something I'd never heard here with Harbinger. Plus, it's it's a name. It's a name that you hear from the indies. So let's see how it goes. It's not exactly the usual type of stuff that I'm into, but maybe I'll be surprised. Up next, we have the Supernatural Valentine's Day Special 2026. I've been enjoying the mainline Supernatural series. With these holiday specials, often they'll have different writers. And yeah, they have Preeti Cheeber on writing, Pasquale Quilano, artist. Maybe get that indica and shot there too in case anybody ever needs it. And then on color, Arancia Studio. I'm gonna guess that. I'm gonna guess it's a studio rather than a person. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe Arancia Studio is a colorist, and if so, I apologize for that. The Supernatural mainline series has cliffhangered from the last issue, so I don't expect this one to tie into it at all. And usually they don't with the holiday specials. It's often a standalone story. To be honest, that's where Supernatural gets its, is at its strongest, is when each issue is a little bit episodic. I'm actually a little disappointed that the current series is sort of continuing from the previous issue. You can see some Thundercats ads there, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. This one looks good. We'll see how it goes. And you can see, is that baby? Because they don't have. I think that is baby. In the ongoing series, they are using a different car. They specifically, I guess, steal a different car. Maybe because they just didn't want anything to happen, baby. Plus, there's an issue that's very car centric, so I think they wanted a little bit of tension there. Up next, we have Dark Horse Comics' Night City. This one looks wild, and you get a little bit of a treat with this because it's kind of got a double cover. Look at that throwback homage, sort of. I think I like that a little bit more. That's not a bad cover. The font and all that kind of reminded me of Black Hammer. I thought this might be related to Jeff Lemire's Black Hammer universe. As far as I can tell, it is not. The premise of this one is this. I don't know if it's a. I'm guessing that's not the superhero's name. Maybe his name is the Knight, but it is a either extra dimensional or extraterrestrial entity that is sharing the body of a ordinary man. And so the story is basically about how disillusioned he is in his regular life when his body is not being used as a superhero. Hopefully none of that's too graphic there for YouTube. I mean, it is brutal, but the colors are make it a little bit tame. The art looks fantastic. Obviously, that's not no shade to Jeff Lemire. I don't even know if I'm saying Lemire right. No shade to Jeff Lemire, but yeah, it's a little bit more advanced than I think we see out of him. Night City. Hopefully it's a good one. Next we have Event Horizon Dark Descent number 5. I've quite been enjoying this series. The original movie was the scariest thing I saw as a kid. I remember having nightmares about it. I already opened this one up to make sure there weren't any very graphic opening pages, so we're not going to get too disturbing. I love that this is going to be Dr. Kwan centric. Dr. Kwan is an original character for this. It's a prequel to the movie, so pretty much all the characters featured in this were original. We got a little bit of Dr. Weir, Sam Neill's character, in the first issue, and then the only other character that was really established was the captain that you see in that sort of like horrifying video in the original movie. Let's see, Event Horizon, and got a little bit lucky showing this on YouTube because in the past this like title spread page has been really graphic on the previous issues. I absolutely love Dr. Kwan's facial reference. Like, she is absolutely gorgeous, and really she was almost the only character in here that was really great to look at, to be honest. The rest of them looked kind of shifty and had some very odd face inspirations. Next we have Thunder the Barbarian. I remember this being on Cartoon Network back in the day. I didn't watch it too much, but I've been into, fantasy sort of stuff. This is not straight fantasy. This is a mishmash of everything. This is more science fiction fantasy fusion than anything else. That covers Rob Liefeld, and you can say what you want about Rob Liefeld. That looks fantastic, epic. I thought his was the best cover, and that's why I went with it. So. And you'll see right off the bat that we're not dealing with fantasy. We're dealing with the sort of, it's like future apocalypse. And I do recall that being the premise in the show, was that it was not straight fantasy oriented. And see, there you go, Undar. Looks like he's escaping slavery. Dynamite has been resurging all of these old cartoon shows in their own series, giving them a serious take. They've been a little bit hit and miss. I think Space Ghost was a really interesting one until I kind of just fell off of it. The thing about it is that it's whether or not it's good, whether or not it's a good take, it's in some ways it's going to be limited by the premise. At the end of the day, like, you're not making an original story because you have an original idea or whatever. You're really trying to make it go of it with a modern story based off of a more classic inspired property. Maybe I'm rambling a little bit, but you understand what I'm saying. It's just, when you start from that sort of state, I don't know, the hallway gets narrower as you go down it. Next we have Vampirella number 10, Christopher Priest's Vampirella, the mainline series. As mentioned, Gundiz is no longer on the series, and you can see with this issue that artist Davis Guetin, colors by Adriana Augusto, gets even a little bit further away from Gundiz's style. I know in the last issue it was mimicking it a little bit, at least on the opening pages, and that was fair because it was literally remaking a scene from a book that Gundiz had originally done the art for. So people who have been complaining about Gundiz's art and have maybe liked the art in Vampirella Armageddon a little bit more, I think that this is gonna be a little bit better for you. Let me just mention, this happens with Dynamite books sometimes. Has anybody else noticed this, where the cover is just like a shade too short? I got one of the best covers that Lucio Prio did. Gorgeous virgin cover that I ordered from dynamite.com, and the cover was printed like this. And I know that if it comes down to it being a valuation thing in the future, that CGC or whoever takes into account those manufacturer errors. But I mean, it's not about the valuation. For my own joy, I just I just want it to look perfect. I want it to look perfect. Anyway, that's it for my floppies. This is a bonus that I picked up, and if you remember, I mentioned that I had a New Year's resolution that I would only get collections and backyard ordered collections, although this one is fairly recent, if it was half price. So I did go a little over on this one. This was $30, and it's, like I said, it's a fairly recent release, and you can see that it is normally $49.99. It's normally $50. I found an eBay storefront that was just selling them at a really, really reduced price. I don't know if they over ordered or ordered on accident, but they really liquidated a bunch of Human Target copies, and I would have shared it with the league or on the Discord or something like that. But I was waiting for the book to come in to make sure it was on the level and it was good to go. There is, some damage, the type of damage that will happen in transit. I mean, it was shrink wrapped when I received it, so this could be, again, from DC. Maybe they shrink wrapped it too tight. Other than that, just some corner damage, the type of stuff that you'd see if you've ever ordered hardcovers off of Amazon, ironically. But yeah, Human Target, if you do not know, is Tom King and George Smallwood. George Smallwood did the cover, or I'm sorry, Greg Smallwood. Oh man, and now I can't even remember the name of the artist that I confused him with. It's the artist that did all the old Gold Key comics, like the Star Trek covers and the Phantom covers. His Greg Smallwood's art is very much harkening back to that classic painted cover era. Tom King and Greg Smallwood, and a lot of people have sworn by Greg Smallwood's art in this. I'm very excited to get into it. It's not, it's not exactly as painted as the cover is. That's something that an artist like, no shade to Greg Smallwood. The art is fantastic. Look at that. It's wonderful. But artists like Dan Brereton will do a cover and then he'll do internal work that's even better than that cover. So I will say that this would have been, this looks great. And especially I love the palette and the coloring that's going on, the fun that he's having with that. But imagine a book that was that, or like, Alex Ross on Kingdom Come, which I just finished. That's why I referenced it. So that's it for me this week. I'm going to have some fine reading ahead of me, I think. Hopefully you have some fine reading ahead of you too. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next week. Bye.